Hello! Today we're taking a look at some of the new features that Waymaker's received in version 1.1. Today we're going to take a look at some of the new scale options that we have. So, as you probably know, with most sequencers, you can set a scale. And by default, we just have a simple C major thing. And that's how it's been in Waymaker up till now. But let's take a look at the new scale menu. So, the basic view is probably familiar to what you remember from previous versions. We can set a root note and we can set a scale. And here's the notes in that scale. If we listen to it, we're pretty much just here in C major. But we've got two new options here, which I think are really fun. The first is called multiscale. And what this is going to let us do is basically define a short sequence of scales that we can move through automatically. So I think that this is pretty fun because it opens up a world of kind of non-diatonic motion, or maybe modal motion as well. So just for demonstration, let's go down to 2 steps here. And you see that we're going to step through these scales every whole note. So that's fine for now. And our first scale is going to be C major. I'm going to change our second scale to be C minor. Let's just hear as Waymaker steps through these 2 scales automatically for us. So that's already really fun. We're getting a kind of a more complex output than we can get with just one scale. And I think this also opens up a lot of really interesting motion, which is kind of, available to us with music theory and a lot of different stylistic practices. So I'll say one of my favorite ways to use this is it's a really common figure that we might go from C minor and kind of use that as our traditional scale, kind of our home base. But then a lot of times during the last bar of some grouping, we might go into harmonic minor. So let's hear what happens when we step from C minor to C harmonic minor. So this is a fun way to maybe just introduce a little bit of variation. Like if we're using 2 scales that are so related, like minor and harmonic minor, we can use this to kind of like almost add a little spice, add a little bit of like, almost like a harmonic fill to our sequence when we're doing something like this. Another thing you could do is maybe something like, we could go from major pentatonic to major. Let's hear that. So we can start to think about this relationship between the scale that we're using and the melodies that we're generating. I think this is pretty fun because it opens up a whole world of kind of motion that we just didn't really have available to us before. Another fun thing is going back and forth between parallel scales. So we could go from C major pentatonic to A flat major pentatonic. So that's cool too, because I think that's fun. It's like a very common figure in a lot of compositional techniques. But yeah, so that is the gist of the multiscale. It's going to be fun to play around with, and I encourage you to check it out if you've been interested in some non-diatonic motion. But then beyond the complexity of this is our MIDI follow mode. And what this is going to do is this basically lets you send whatever chords into Waymaker, and it's going to consider that as its scale. So if I play all of the white keys, you're going to see that Waymaker has identified the current scale as C major. But this is also going to be relative to the lowest note that you play. So if I play all of the white keys, but starting on D, you can see it's identified it as D Dorian. So why don't we play around with this a little bit and just kind of see what interesting things we can come up with. I'm going to let the sequencer run and just change the scale that it's going to be using. So this is really nice because now you can just create whatever custom scale you want. Maybe the multiscale doesn't have all of the options that you want. You can just go into your DAW in your piano roll, or just kind of step up to the plate and change the chords however you want performatively. Maybe you're already improvising a keyboard line or something and you just want to have Waymaker follow along with whatever you're doing. This is a really fun mode that lets you do that. And the last thing I want to mention is that now that the scale settings in Waymaker can be so complex, we also have a handy little option down here, which will synchronize all running Waymaker instances to the same scale. So if you have multiple Waymakers running, maybe you've got one generating chords, you've got one generating a melody, another one doing a bass line, and you want to try out different scales. Now it's more easy than ever to keep them in sync. So all you have to do is click this button and it will get all of the other Waymaker instances synchronized to the scale settings for this Waymaker. So this is really nice, especially if you're using multiscale. If you have set up a big, complex progression of scales, all you need to do is hit this button, and all of them are now following along and doing the same thing. So with all of this together, I think that this kind of opens a whole new dimension for Waymaker in a way that I'm really excited about, and I hope that you enjoy. So take care, and I hope you enjoy Waymaker's new scale settings in version 1.1.